Hi guys, this is David Negrin, host of the Script Podcast and executive director of the NYC Screenwriters Collective. I'm excited to announce that we've created a Patreon campaign for the Script. Patreon is like a Kickstarter, but it allows you to give ongoing pledges every month and receive ongoing rewards. Of course, the Script Podcast will continue to be free, but we're just asking for a little help. So please, check out all our rewards, join our inner circle. Become a patron of the Script Podcast at patreon.com/thescript.
I want you to concentrate.
She's like in some sort of trance state or something.
Where'd you get this?
From a box of 80 VHS tapes the old homeowners left in the basement.
What the hell?
This is The Script, the official podcast of the NYC Screenwriters Collective. Tonight, our Halloween horror series continues with the 6th and possibly final chapter of the Paranormal Activity franchise, Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension. Tonight, my screenwriters are Kristina Leath-Malin and Jon Crefeld. Guys, welcome.
Hello.
Hey. Glad to be here.
Jon, thanks for coming on. Jon's one of our NYC Screenwriters Collective featured authors. He writes horror. Kristina, as all you know out there who listen to the script, is our horror aficionado. Tonight, and she has a lot of love for paranormal, don't you?
Oh, so much love.
So, tonight, our film, the artists are, the director is Gregory Plotkin. Script for Paranormal The Ghost Dimension was written by Jason Harry Pagan, Andrew Deutschman, Adam Robitel, Gavin Heffernan. It's a big budget franchise. You get a lot of extra screenwriters on it, right?
Yeah.
Of course, though, you cannot talk about the artists involved in this without the producers Jason Blum and Oren Pele. Oren Pele, the original writer, director
It's
of
his
the
brainchild.
first Paranormal. It's his franchise. Jason Blum, Mr. Horror himself.
Blumhouse. Yep.
He also does Prestige Pictures now. He's following the footsteps of the Miramax and the Miramax model. But they,
It was amazing.
Oren Pele wrote the original Paranormal Activity and shot it for $15,000, and it made something like $200 million. And we're now on.
Really?
We're on Paranormal. Yes, we're on Paranormal 6. Is Oren killing it or what? Is he on a boat somewhere?
Yeah.
I think it was perfect timing because as Saw was dwindling and petering out, it came into its own. And it was we can't not have a franchise during this holiday, whether it's Friday the 13th or the Nightmares, Freddy Krueger. We always need to have some kind of franchise in play, I think.
I love that. I love that idea, Kristina, that Halloween is about tradition and we want a horror franchise in play. I like that very much.
Halloween was a great franchise name. There are a bunch of them.
Yeah. And Saw for a long time was it, right? What genre is subgenre of horror is Saw?
No, it's just I want to say it's your straight serial killer. It's in the family of what we just mentioned. It isn't a gore or anything like that. Although there's gore elements, it's still set up as a serial killer. Jigsaw was a serial killer. He had his different motivation. He wasn't just a masked guy running around, but he was a serial killer.
But it was all about the booby traps. Jon, were you a fan of Saw?
I was. And I thought very clever, but a very different feel from these, Saw had riddles and, this sense of sin, which is such a big idea in horror. And, kind of subverting what we think is the good in people. He was justified, whereas in Paranormal Activity, we have kind of a more demonic force, don't we? Anyway, yeah, I love to talk about that and just that what makes horror so compelling. And I think they've got a great franchise in this too, because in a way it is so, knit into the fabric of our daily lives. I mean, these things happen in houses when things are slowly going wrong that could happen to all of us with cameras that we use. And now that video is becoming so popular, you see it happening that way. It's really clever.
The found footage horror is a special subgenre of its own. It goes back to Blair Witch, doesn't it, Kristina?
It totally does, and I'm sad to say that I liked the sequel to Blair Witch, which a lot of people won't agree with me, but I liked it, and I wish that had been a franchise in itself, because the whole idea of strategically using the internet, using marketing, and building a real urban legend around your story is really interesting and really effective in the box office.
We studied, shout out to Fierstein Grad School of Cinema at Brooklyn College. We were studying earlier this semester the origin of the social media campaign, or the viral campaign of Blair Witch. And I was just before you got on, Kristina, I was just talking to Jon about a script he's working on and how much deep editing he had done on it. But I'm not sure if you guys know this, but the Blair Witch Project, the original script, was written as a one of those like police story movies. The frame was not just found footage.
Really?
The frame was here we are exploring the death at Blair Witch, right? And then every once in a while they would cut to the footage that was found supporting the story, and then they would cut back to the documentarian talking in interviews with recreations and shit like that, right? And this version of the film is available on the special commentary of Blair Witch, because they had the balls, the writing ability to say, you know what, let's cut out half of this movie, cut out all the stuff that is not the footage itself, and just piece together the footage as the movie. And if you think of that, the genius of Blair Witch came out of, all right, let's make one of these crime, crappy crime TV shows with a weird, scary ending, and then they cut out all the crime business, the police crime stuff, and slapped together just the found footage into one of the scariest films we've ever seen, creating the found footage genre. And that is such a gutsy edit.
Right.
Well, here, too, there's a couple of firsts that add into that. What I remember of it, because I remember the New Jersey Devil was also doing a similar kind of found footage-ish kind of situation. But the first with Blair Witch, and I don't want to go too long on other movies, was that they had a stellar online campaign. They held their 3 actors off out of the media, and then they had this whole kind of built-in site full of, faux documents from police departments still looking for these. So for I think at the beginning of that coming out, you were wondering if it was real or not. That was one of the strongest things I remember from Blair Witch. And then
right.
The second movie I want to comment on, do you remember that? When everyone's like, is it real or is it not? There was
exactly. This really happened.
So the campaign, it was exactly.
My brother was in college when Blair Witch came out. No, when Blair Witch, before it came out in the theaters. He saw it at a frat house late at night. Somebody had it on a VHS tape where it had been copied and copied and copied. Okay? It had been passed around like it was real. He called me in the middle of the night. He's like, David, I just saw something that really scares me. And he wasn't.
You just said the best marketing strategy ever. My
yes.
next film, I'm gonna put it on a VHS and then send it out to
and
all those
pass it around.
Yes.
And you know what happened?
Yeah.
My brother Chris called me up and he was asking me, is is this real? He wasn't asking me if the footage was real. He was asking me if ghosts were real. You know?
He thought the whole story was real.
Yeah.
Right.
That's amazing.
Because all of this really depends on, their ability to make you feel like it's real, kind of like this projection of reality. Yeah, I mean, that's the difficulty with something like Saw. You're like, oh yeah, people are really locked up and there's a mastermind. Whereas like Blair Witch and the Paranormal Activity movies, you're like, oh, this could be happening to anyone. I just, there's a sense of discovery about it.
Yeah, no, sorry.
And the first Paranormal is so blatantly in somebody's apartment. It's so subtle. It is fully a found footage film. It doesn't have any ambitions, but they subtly layer in some creepy special effects, and in the finale at the last moment, the time lapse thing. But and then it goes out in a finale. One of the conventions of this series is the final moment, right? The final moment of every one of these movies is the scariest fucking
the mic moment.
Yes. They drop the mic in every, and this is filmmaking. Period. You're supposed to go out on top. Okay, you're supposed to.
What?
You're not supposed to have. You're not supposed to have 6 Lord of the Rings endings. You're supposed to go out when Frodo drops the ring into the fire. The story's over, and Paranormal knows how to do that. Paranormal knows how to do that. To drop the mic at the scariest moment at the end. And the first movie did it, and our movie tonight did it.
Well, here's the thing that's even more stellar. Did you notice? And this is why I don't know if did you guys both see did you see the first one in a movie theater, David?
No, I didn't. No, I had to catch up on them this week.
Okay, so I saw the first one in the movie theater, and this is why this franchise started. The last couple of seconds, he's right. The ending, I'm not going to give it away, but it's a drop the mic moment where your jaw drops. But what solidifies this is the beginning of a franchise was there were no credits when I saw this in the movie theater, and I saw it as a preview. So then you're just freaked out, like, wait, give me credits so I know this is just a movie. There were no credits.
No credits.
Swear.
That's love that.
Killed it.
They can't get away with that today. They can't get away with that today because the film is like has a real budget, right? Our film tonight, Ghost Dimension has a $10 million budget, so people need to get credited.
That's kind of big, but still, just imagine that you saw what you saw the first one, and then that moment, that jaw-dropping moment happens, and it's black.
And they're like, no explanation, and the title cards all explain it as if it was footage that we got from somewhere. That reminds me. Reminds me of a great title mechanism gambit that did either of you see Seven in the movie theater?
I love Seven. Yes, of course.
At the end of Seven, with that mind fuck ending, this like misanthropic ending.
Over and over. I watch it.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
It's the best ending ever.
When that movie ends, it drops the mic, and then the credits roll up.
I know what you're going to say. Really?
Yes.
I'm so
backwards.
Focused on hearing the guys in the helicopter saying, get somebody. I don't know who to get somebody. Because they're so fuddled at the credits roll backwards.
And I'm sitting there thinking this movie's fucked up, and the credits are reminding me, yes, it's backwards.
Wow.
Yeah. So, hey, let's talk about our movie tonight.
So, wait, one last thing. One piggyback thing. Blair Witch thrived on marketing. Then what I want to say in between Blair Witch and our movie or our franchise tonight, Wreck took the whole horror genre into the new marketing sphere of showing audience freaking out at a movie. And Paranormal did the same thing. They gave no trailers. They just showed the audience freaking out.
So okay, so now you're just talking about a marketing innovation here, right?
Sure, but it
recording
led
the
both
audience, being scared.
There were no, but exactly
I love that.
I only
I
saw the
love
audience.
that.
I didn't know what this movie was about. No one going in knew what it was about because the marketing campaign only showed you the audience.
To me, that is, normally the stuff that comes out of Hollywood is dumbest shit you've ever heard from a business perspective. But that, that's getting away from the idea of giving you we're talking about a history of an industry that gives you a trailer that tells you way too much, right?
Sure, totally.
And then this is saying, you know what, this is saying our trailers, if we can't give away the surprises. The surprises are the capital of our storytelling. We can't give it away. And so let's just promise you that you're going to get scared.
It's like these night vision shots of the theater, right? With people jumping. It's like these dark lit things, so you feel like you're in the movie already.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's like if you ever watch the Game of Thrones reactions.
We honestly, if you've seen all 6 of these, you're trained. Oh God, I'm not a Game of Throneser, but everyone around me is. But it's
the Game of Thrones reactions are great.
Yeah. See, it's this thing. This whole series is like Pavlov's dog. If you see 1 through, by the time you get to 6, if you see 1 through 5, you're already knowing when it gets super silent to be scared as fuck. You're trained. You're trained that if music is playing in the background, it's not the moment.
But they kill pacing,
when everything gets dead silent and still.
They killed the pacing, I thought. Sorry, jumping, but when to when to make it slow.
Who killed the pacing?
Not at all. Kill like good, kill like bad.
Amazingly. Sorry, I was stumbling into it. But those silent moments, as someone who hadn't seen all of them now, it's like, wow, this is the refrigerator noise, the little buzzing sounds, and then it's quiet. You're right. But whereas the rest of the movie is moving really quick. It's almost like a duck. It's like they're controlling the surface of the sound and what you hear, and then underneath is all this paddling. Like, oh, we're already, wow, okay. You're talking about, sorry, I'm jumping it, but it's really exciting to see something that controls the appearance and makes a plot underneath.
One thing,
Sorry,
so normal.
Totally.
No, you make a great point. Usually, why don't we talk about, usually we do, just like at the collective, we do, on the script, we do 1 up, 1 down. The thing you like the most about the script and the film, and the thing you are the most critical about in this movie tonight. So, would you guys like to go first?
No, you end it. You're like Alexis Carrington at Dynasty, David.
I'm going to pretend like I got that reference.
Starring ABCD and Joan Collins. You're like the end-all of end-alls. Come on. That was a compliment.
Wow.
I'm like special appearance by. Like I'm lucky to be here, Yeah. So, whatever.
I got you back.
John, do you want to go first, or do you want me to warm you up?
I'm just here.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to warm you up?
Warm me up here. You got it.
Oh, okay. So easy. I will. 1 up. Oh, so easy. I've seen every single one, and they do a damn good job of laying clues forward and backwards so that every single one of these movies is connected. And there have been instances, I won't go into it too deep, with one movie that ends, and then you hear, like, some people speaking. Am I?
I think you're allowed to spoil on here. The people who are listening to this podcast have seen them all. Absolutely.
It's this random girl that comes into contact with this crazy family, which these 2 gentlemen have met, but she doesn't know what they're all crazy and full of witches. So the random girl that's the next door neighbor dies. At the end of Paranormal 4, when she dies, it gets chased by Katie from 1, from 2, from 3. Then you hear these Latino boys talking in the background, and I never got it, and then it's over. And then Paranormal, the marked ones, started in a Latino neighborhood. And they connect and go.
Yeah.
And then they not only do they connect to it, they by accident trip into a new dimension. When he opens the door, he's in Katie's house.
Katie from the first one?
I'm not even telling you how wonderful
Katie
this
from the
series
first
is.
one is one of the little girls.
Yes, so you have to see this whole series.
Wow.
The people that have this is a ride worth it. Writing wise, I'm not worthy, and even keeping like the pace going, it's not all over the place with different writers. They do very well.
Okay.
My only down is that once we get to the kills in Ghost Dimension, they come too quick and hard. Like, we've set everything up, now here's a couple kills, and let's go back to the Katie.
The
plot.
kills
Like,
come
oh,
in the last
time
7 minutes.
come
They come
too
in
quick
the last 7 minutes of the film, and frankly,
that was a cop out to go back. They tried to work with the plot, with the bigger plot, which I love, and they did a good job. But I like my kills. I like them slow and messy and dirty and spaced.
Yeah, this is no
Didn't
Alien.
didn't you like that vomiting acid blood kill? That was pretty good, but we didn't get to see it.
Yes.
That was pretty
Unexpected.
awesome.
I have to admit, it was a nice
That
twist.
was good.
Yeah.
It's true.
All right.
John.
So, thank you, Kristina. Yeah. I think. Sorry, I was best student as an undergraduate in philosophy. So I think my favorite thing that I liked.
Me
was that
too.
they took,
Me too.
Really? All right. Well, let me run this one by you. So what I really found committing, really drew me in, was that the overlying theme that we kept undermining, what was horrible about the story, is we took this sense of family security, a normal family, just kind of getting by, getting along, and then we kept undermining it. Not just the ghost, but the little girl turns on them. And that's the horror, is that your normal family life can just kind of fall apart, and that we're, if you go Christianity with it, we're all in this spirit world fighting demons. And so we have demons coming in, infecting those things that we really can't control. And I think that was just so effective, and they stuck on tone with that throughout the entire thing. I was surprised at the end when you get a Catholic priest. I was like, we're going exorcist. Is that still relevant in our world? And I was like, okay.
Because a demon is out of Christian mythology.
Epistemology.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you remember, David, there was a priest in the first one. Only priest in the last and the first one. Yep.
Yeah, and
so what didn't you like?
Yeah, right. There was a little short shrifting of things like character on that. I think the family was generally there just to kind of be the opposite, the debate side of the script as it came out. It's like, oh no, things are fine. Oh no, things are fine. The wife wants to have sex, and then we just continually undermine that. So character development was, let's face it, very minimal. They were, it was just, a happy bunch of people for us to undermine until kind of they accepted that.
I really only liked Ryan, the dad, and Skylar, the friend / hot chick.
Wait, you didn't like the brother? I thought the brother was funny.
He was just cannon fodder.
He's a trope, but
kill that dude as soon as you can.
May I add though that at first I was like, when am I going to see Ryan? He's operating the camera, and then I was like, well, is that Ryan or is that Uncle Mike? Because Uncle Mike's got a mustache, Ryan's got a beard. They kind of even look alike. At least with the girls, we get one who's blonde and one who's brunette, so I could tell them apart.
Yeah,
but
they
weren't that different. We had the stash.
He should have had an Indian half brother or something that was different.
Yeah. Oh, Kristina, has there been a single person of color in the Paranormal Activity franchise?
No, but the whole 4 was set on Santeria and the Mexican L.A.
East L.A.
So and that was
right.
That was 90% Mexican, and then 2 minutes they tie it back into the Katie story.
But there is that old trope that white people are the only stupid stupid enough to stay in the haunted house, right?
Okay, so wait, we have to say it. I forgot what this is my true one down. Oh,
amen to that, yeah.
My true one down. You know where I'm going because you saw it. So we've left the fucking house. Why do you go back for shampoo? Why?
Yeah.
You can't go to Walmart? Really? Really?
My hair product is expensive. I get it at Kiehl's. That shit is expensive.
You can't go to Kiehl's?
One time,
Really?
one
A
time,
demon
one
or
time,
Kiehl's? A
I went to
demon
the
or Kiehl's?
airport and TSA was like that
They took my
that
Afro Sheen.
that
It's all
bottle's
good.
too big.
No
I
demons.
considered not getting on the plane. I didn't want to lose it. I got on, but
Did you please tell me you sighed when the brother and the yoga girl went back into that house? Please
Yeah,
tell me you
Skylar.
did a collective sigh. Like,
I mean,
really?
I just
And then it's like getting dark. You're like, what? It's getting dark? Where did the day go?
I totally went from like sunset to like night. Oh.
here's what I liked
Do you
about
remember?
our film.
Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Here's what I liked. I liked, and this is visual for me, and from a cinematography perspective, this house was really big, right? And so
Yep.
it allowed us to see a whole hell of a lot more. And I think this is part of the craft of the developing art of the found footage film. In order to keep us from getting dizzy and feeling confined, you need bigger spaces. And they shot this story in a lot bigger spaces. The other thing they did right that was cool to me was the camera itself. It was like a piece of sci-fi tech, right? It was somebody had built it. Did we find
Right.
out who built it? I don't know, but it could see.
Oh, the handheld, the
Yeah,
shoulder
but
mount.
they
Yeah,
spent
sure,
time
sure.
like looking and saying, "Oh, it has all these special features. It was custom built, and it could see the ghost dimension." That was such a great idea. I'm not sure if they had that in the previous films,
Good point.
but it
No, this is the only one
but
that had that
it,
camera.
found footage is the storytelling method here, and they finally gave us a motivated prop that could actually see the stuff that we were been dying to see, which is
True. The
spirit.
spirit. We just see the reaction of what it
and
touches.
and
This is the first time we
speaking of
saw
that,
it.
I don't know, Christina, you tell me, but this is the first time we actually got to see drawings of what Toby the demon might actually look like, right?
No. We got Toby. We've never seen Toby in this goo-like
Yeah.
form, so you're
Right.
totally spot on with that. But in 4, see, okay, I'm gonna do a quick run through, and then
I'm
then you run
talking
down.
about the image of like this deep.
But there's been crayon
Right.
sketchings and
Yes.
other ones by other
Okay.
kids, so we
So
didn't get how
the
it tied
multiple
in.
eyes and like the this like demonic
Oh,
demonic
No, not the
the-
multiple
the-
eyes. That
the
one's a new
demonic
one.
face, and he has like he's some kind of like lamb feet or some kind.
No, we didn't get it in that depth. It's always been kids' drawings in some part of a couple of the narratives. There wasn't anything that specific, but because we've seen a lot of like scribbles on the wall, I don't think we would have focused so hard. We've been like, oh yeah, another crazy kid doing some chatter on the walls. It wasn't new.
But
The only
to me, one of the challenges for me in this series is we don't get to see the damn monster, and that's part of how they keep the found footage stuff.
That's why Ghost Dimension works, because of that camera and at least that kind of being able to see something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whatever, do we want to call that goo? What do we, plasma? Are we going back Ghostbusters?
It was like a shadow. It was like this expanding shadow. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
They could punch through a
Ectoplasm from
chest.
Ghostbusters, yeah.
You're right. At the end, it had a tentacle. It was almost out of a Japanese anime, right? It was almost Japanese horror. So
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
So that was my one up. Actually, this is like my fourth up. I did enjoy the exposition of the two brothers getting into scientific research and explanation of the mythology. Like from the first film through, I want to hear. I'm so much a mythology guy. When I write science fiction or when I write thriller, I want to hear about a great backstory. And these guys did all this research on the past killings and then the biblical stuff, I was so into that as they were figuring it out. And at the same time they were figuring it out, they were watching the tapes
Right.
Oh, that messed
and
me up.
not noticing that the tapes are observing their lives. I mean,
Wait,
yeah.
David, I'm watching you die on Skype.
There's somebody behind you, Kristina. There's somebody behind you.
That's good.
Stop. Stop.
This
Yeah, I
podcast,
mean, we know where
this
that's
this
going to. Yeah,
podcast,
the little girl's like talking to them. It was
Totally
this
awesome.
recording
That
was
a great
introduced
moment, I have to say.
introduced
God
into
bless
when the
you.
little
into
girl's
What
on
did
into
she say?
evidence.
and
She
saying
said,
she
God
sees
bless
them.
you. Well, no, but when she says God bless you, when the little girl in regular
Yeah,
life
yeah,
sneezes,
that was so creepy. I had to watch. I was like, did that just happen? And then the guy with the mustache goes, wait, what just happened?
Yes.
freaked me out.
So
You know, they were pretty good at having those. They had those huge moments and then talked us down because that was just too weird, right? At that point, you know, you're going to the newspapers, you're running from the house, you know, and that scene and the one where they're getting attacked in the kitchen, you know, and they're hiding behind the kitchen
right. Well,
cabinets.
if they
and you're
figure out, I mean, that's part of writing a contained thriller, which is whether it's horror or a regular thriller. Is that if they find out too much too soon, they're gonna get in the car and they're gonna leave, and you got to shoot this movie in the house.
Right?
Well,
did you guys catch the homage to Poltergeist with the hole in the wall in the kitchen sequence?
Oh my God, the hole in the wall. I was so happy to see down the hole because in Poltergeist it was just a light, you know? I wanted I wanted to see the other side in Poltergeist, but here we got to see that dark cavern that she walks down to get back to 1982. That was so cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that
liked
was
all
crazy. That was.
I'm trying to think
of
in my
the other side for sure.
Yeah, my one down was, yeah, not so much so the character development. I just think the tempo, of the found footage films is a little slow. Even this one, which is the most mature, I think, of the ones that I've seen. And they are still short films. This movie is 88 minutes. They really have to dole out more varied incidents over the course of the story to me. I think it would benefit from having more than just the child involved with the supernatural. It just happened really, like the first half of the movie, not a whole hell of a lot was happening. It was like a family film with a couple of things going wrong. Second half, after the midpoint, things go to shit as they should. But the first half was really a little slow. And I think that they could have accelerated that even more. But at 88 minutes, I don't know. Who might have complained?
Right,
So-
and like you said, now we have 7 kills in the last, you know, or like whatever, 5 kills
Yeah,
in the
and
last 7 minutes.
Exactly. And so it really gets nice and dense at the end. But again, with this found footage stuff, if you kill somebody early, these people are going to get in their station wagon and leave. So I don't think that
and don't you have to ask yourself, what is Toby waiting for?
Well, you have to know that they're killed. You could kill someone and hide them or burn them or something.
Yeah.
You have to know they're dead.
I actually like that we don't know what Toby's plan is. You know? I like that we don't know what his plan is. We know he's like collecting little girls to become.
That doesn't
Yeah,
sound
that's
good.
horrible. No, he's collecting a coven, right?
Yeah.
Basically, he's making a series of witches to create like himself as a body, and then he will be the head warlock, and God knows what.
But Anne Rice already did that with The Witching Hour and that whole series.
Good to know.
In that whole book, she basically has this cult of really strong women in New Orleans, and basically one is meant to birth the Antichrist, the Almighty.
And that's
Toby.
talked about. Is Leela gonna birth the child, or did?
I don't even know how. That was sloppy to me at the end of.
There was some, there was some sloppy moments. It's like when she was like lighting up the Bible in the chimney. You're like, oh, the other house. We just found out the other house burned down. She's gonna burn down the house and kill everyone. That's the evil. But maybe those moments were from a lot of screenwriters with a lot of ideas, so it didn't always flow completely smoothly.
That's a great comment.
You know, like
yeah,
we heard about Hunter. We heard about Hunter.
Right. What was the backstory there?
Okay, so Hunter is okay. So Katie and Micah are number one. Do you want me to give you the quick backdrop on this?
Yeah.
Let's see if I get it all.
And then we got to do beats.
Katie and Micah have the first house, and then Micah decides to put cameras in. That's how we start doing this whole play, because he wants to put cameras everywhere. And then they start noticing weird things like time lapses where Katie just stands like for 2 hours straight hovering over Micah until finally something happens and some kind of ghost takes Katie away and slams Micah.
Katie gets possessed.
Rigged. She gets taken away. She's like, help me, Micah. She gets pulled out of the bedroom.
But then she comes back in and she sniffs him and he...
That's not until 2.
No.
End of 1.
I just watched it. End of 1. She's
You're
sniffing
right.
him, and she looks in the camera, and
him.
the drop the mic moment is her face turns demonic, and we're like, oh shit.
But does her face really turn demonic, or does she just throw Micah at the camera? She hurls his body at the camera.
And then she walks over to him on all fours and starts smelling him like a demon.
Oh, you're right.
And then she looks at the camera, and it goes demonic for about half a second, and we're out.
Okay, so now here's where the other two filmmakers gets to tell me what they think about a follow-up sequel. So you're thinking, oh, where do we go with 2? This is what they do in 2. And 2, they pick it up, whereas it's a couple of weeks before that even happened, and Katie's fine, her boyfriend's fine, and you're in the sister's house, and the sister was like, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. Katie does her flip in the middle of the film, because it's just like normal family activities, because that Micah incident hasn't happened. The Micah incident happens in the middle of 2, then Katie comes into her sister's house, kills all of her family, and takes her sister's youngest son, who's in a crib, and disappears at the end of 2.
Wow. So, and the son, is that the kid who's missing?
Hunter. That's Hunter.
Okay.
That's
and then the 2 girls who are in...
That's
in
3. Wait, here we go. This is the next level. And 3, we're like, oh my God, what does she do with the kid? What does she do with the kid? And 3, we don't see either of those women, and we see Katie and her sisters as little girls.
Right.
And with her mom and her mom's boyfriend, and the boyfriend's kind of like, something's weird going on, and they keep saying, oh, we're talking to Toby. All the stuff you saw on the VHS, that was 3. And at the very end, the boyfriend's like, this is crazy. You got to get it together, woman, to the mother. And she's like, you're right. Mother gets killed. Very last sequence is a old lady killing the boyfriend, and a coven of old women taking the 2 little girls away.
Is that the opening image from this
3.
movie?
Yes, yeah. That in
yes,
they give us that video for in Ghost Dimension. They give us that prequel from. They give us that prologue from Paranormal 3. So
here we go. We go to 4. Wait, let me finish this. We go to 4, and then we have this girl who has nothing to do with the show.
4 is not series. Like Fast Furious Tokyo Drift, where it has nothing to do with the rest.
Kind of, but they tie it. Okay, I didn't see.
It has nothing to do with others.
Ties to that. But here we go. We have this whole family, this new family, and they're like, oh, this strange little boy and his mother moved in across the street. And the strange little boy, Hunter, keeps showing up on our doorstep and wanting to play with our little boy. And the 2 boys have fun, but like every morning she wakes up, the little boy's like in their backyard. Hunter. Yeah. But now he's not an infant from the earlier Paranormal 2. He's not like a 7-year-old. And so the teenage girl that keeps saying, Hunter, I'll babysit you, but you have to go back home. She starts to like dig into what's happening. Why isn't your mom coming to get you? No one's home. All of a sudden, something happens. I'm trying to try to make this really short. Something happens, and they have to watch Hunter because the mother, Katie, is in the hospital supposedly. Weird stuff happens. All the next door neighbors in this house get killed, and the babysitter girl, finally like goes over to Katie's house and gets surrounded by a coven of witches.
Right.
Katie is the same Katie.
is exactly, and she moved into this house across them. So the little babysitter girl, that's the lead of Paranormal 4, she's surrounded by a coven of witches. Then all of a sudden, the camera drops, and you see Katie running at the babysitter girl, and then the visual goes off. But then here's where we get it, guys. Then we hear 2 Latino boys talking in the background. You're like, why do we hear Latino boys talking in the background? Set up for the Marked Ones, which is all about Latinos dealing with the same paranormal thing in East LA. And then they were like, what's happening? Our Nana is getting killed. Our Abuela is getting killed. We're going to go figure this whole thing out. We're going to go to the library and figure it out. And there's some crazy girl named Katie we got to find. So they go off to the suburbs to find this Katie girl, go into this random house. They open a door, not her house, not anything that we recognize. But when they open a door at the very end of Paranormal 4, the Marked Ones, they end up in Katie's fucking house from the first one. They open a door. And they jump a dimension into her original house and get totally beat, like,
and they're
sliced
all
up
dead.
by her.
There's none of those guys.
No, they totally get attacked by Katie. That's what freaks you out. Katie and from, like,
adult
at that
Katie.
original... Yeah, the adult Katie from 1
killed
attacks
Micah.
them when they
Killed
enter her
Micah.
house.
Okay.
Exactly.
But those guys are done. They're
So-
not going to show up again. Okay.
No, they get killed right there. And that tells you how that ties in. And then we come to Ghost Dimension.
And at that...
Whoa.
Thank you. That was what a wonderful summary of the prequels.
Holy
I
poop.
love how much you love these movies. John, would you
It's amazing.
step us into the beats, opening image and closing image of our film?
Okay. Right. So opening image is the scene of the guy on the floor that Katrina that we just heard, and he is being killed by the older woman of the coven, and the 2 young girls, I guess it's Katie and Christy, go up the stairs. So a very violent opening image. And then the closing image is just after Emily, Leela's mother, is killed in the attic back in 1988. Sorry. The camera is on the ground, and so it's the same image with the camera on the ground after these violent scenes.
Okay.
Both with kind of a night vision cast to
We see
it.
Toby's feet, right?
It's little girls. We start with little girls being instructed by this I guess. Do we know who this guy is, Kristina? The one who's teaching them to talk to Toby?
Demonic presence. That's all they keep calling is the demonic
No,
presence.
not
I think we
not
see him in
not
the flesh.
Toby, but like the guy who's instructing. He's kind of an anti-Christ priest.
No, he's like a
He's a
warlock or
Okay,
something.
okay.
Yeah.
Right. Ponytail guy.
And then it matches our closing image, which is Leela, black eyes, looking at the camera. And what's her last line? It's like
She was saying he's real at some point. Let's see. I was trying
But
to
he
write
was
it.
walking with her hand in hand, and you saw Toby's feet, flesh feet, and her,
Oh,
you
that's
saw them
right.
hand
That's
in
right.
hand,
She says, "Hi, Toby." Right, and now Toby's in flesh. He breaks the mother's neck. That was horrible. That is not what you
That was
expect
horrible.
at the end of a movie. Is the mother protecting her daughter,
No way
and
to
she's
win.
the main character. The mother is arguably one of the main characters of the movie, and you're like, all right, she's gonna talk him out of this somehow, or maybe the mother gets, brainwashed into the coven or something like that. Nope, she just gets her neck broke. We take the daughter, and the daughter says, "Hi, Toby." She knows who he is, even though he's like basically like a naked man, demon, standing in. That's ill.
Yeah.
Frodo,
Drop the mic.
right there.
Drop the mic.
Yeah, and I think it's very relevant to the theme and how you're breaking down this script. Not to once again jump ahead, but I think in the all is lost Dark Night of the Soul moments, she's like, "I'm okay, Mommy," and Toby's there. So the kid is kind of turned on her family. And here it is completed at the end, right? The final finale is
Right.
the
You
kid's been
can
won over to the
argue
dark side.
that Leela has a character arc about being scared or not understanding who Toby is to being comfortable with him and becoming, going down the tunnel and then becoming part of the future. Yeah.
Oh, I like
Okay,
it.
great.
I like it because the B story might be that.
You have a theme.
What is the B story?
We're getting ahead of ourselves. Well, let me do
Yes,
theme
we
stated
are.
next.
Sorry.
Let me do theme stated next. Did you find a theme stated?
Well, I think it works on two levels.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just as Kristina was talking about in the big picture, you have the guy from the first scene who, you know, with the ponytail is talking about the prophecy and the one who's chosen. You know, that maybe Layla is going to be the final one to bring Toby in. So the theme of a prophecy coming true. And then Uncle Mike said something in the beginning that it kind of, you know, that kind of caught my attention. That is, children are our future. And if you, you know, invert that.
Oh, I like that
where,
one.
you know,
Children are, yeah.
the children are here to damn us. You know, the children will betray us. You know,
right. He broke up with his girlfriend because she didn't want to have babies or something like that. Right?
That's exactly right. And he's like, yeah, I wanted children. They're our future.
I was trying to tell her the children are the future. Oh, it's so true because all these little witches. Yeah. Wow.
Kind of beautifully written. Yeah.
Creepy.
Great. That's a great one. Good catch.
Okay.
Good catch, John.
Yeah. So that's all the setup, you know, as we're talking
so just a quick summary of the setup is these guys a family moves into a house. A mother, father, and a daughter move into a house. An uncle moves in with them because he got dumped. And why is the other girl there?
He comes to stay because it's the holiday season.
Oh,
Remember,
it's Christmas. You know, that adds a really nice dimension to this movie.
So it's a religious time. It's a religious
But it's also
holiday.
Family time. It's a coming home time.
Yep.
You know, I always like to say that the first two diehards are a lot more emotionally yeah, I'm going there. The first two Die Hard movies are a lot more emotionally evocative because when he's battling the terrorists, his goal is just to get home to his wife, which during the holidays, Christmas holidays, one of the themes is coming home, traveling home, getting on a bus, getting on a plane, you know, doing what you got to do to get home. You know, John McClane fights terrorists to get home, but adding that family dimension to Paranormal is what you guys were saying earlier. To me, the horror of this series is that your home is not a safe place anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And this every one of these movies seems to me that people are in their home, they feel safe, and until this demon which is following in them. And one of the rules of the universe in Paranormal is that the demon will follow you wherever you go. They don't haunt houses. Demons haunt people, which is a bitch.
That's the same thing with Insidious. No, Insidious did the same thing.
Okay.
Though. And Insidious followed the kid, which is good. You can't, and that was the same with Poltergeist. No, that was.
It was the house. Yeah,
no,
yeah.
But
that's it's something they learned because it's just like, well, get the fuck out of the house.
Yeah, well, isn't it a trick? You know,
I think the family
monster in the house.
Yeah,
setup, and they could leave the house.
The family, if I remember, exactly, I think
only the house in the house was the house.
Oh wow, that was deep what you just said.
It was good.
Only the house in the house was the house. The house. You're so
well, and
that was amazing.
I liked. They enforced that rule on us when Leela comes back, and you know, like she can't get out. You know, they're like, you know, the guy's gonna haunt Leela, and they take her away, and she comes back.
Do you remember she does?
She comes back to the house.
30 seconds, and they're like, but we were like 15 hours away or whatever in a Motel 6, and she just
I seem to remember
Yeah.
the family in Poltergeist couldn't leave because it was
sequels.
First.
First one, it was the house. Then, in order to start a franchise.
Oh, I don't remember the second one, but the first one was Carol Ann gets stuck in the dimension, so they can't leave. And the portals to the dimension are in the house. That's helpful.
But But don't you remember Craig T. Nelson saying, "You built it on a
I
cemetery"?
know, which was awesome. Yeah, it was like a dead Native American cemetery. It was like the first movie to do that and make a commentary on white colonialization in America. Like for the early '80s, that was really progressive.
We don't need those tombstones.
Yeah.
Come on.
But also, I remember there was an element of the family didn't have a lot of money, so they got a deal on that house, right? And we're talking about the early '80s. We're talking about the early '80s. We're talking about the late '70s and the oil embargo, and we were in a little depression.
No, you're going deep. The '80s had Reaganomics, and people had money,
and
they were doing a lot of new property.
That was late '80s, early '80s. Poltergeist '80s was after economic depression, after Carter.
Did you just say Poltergeist '80s?
Yeah. The early '80s.
That's pretty awesome.
That's like a meme right there. This is the Poltergeist '80s.
Well, you're coming out of Carter and the Malays, or the Malays.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. A family who can't afford to buy a house that's not built on, murdered Native Americans. So, John, the catalyst.
Catalyst. 7 minutes in, they find the camera. It's with the box of tapes, which, if the last house burnt down, how they found the box of tapes was a nice slide in there. But they found the camera at 7 minutes, and he starts to film with it and see strange things.
And he gets to see that it sees the ghost dimension, as it were. Awesome. And I love that camera.
Working.
When he took that camera out, I was like, there's something fishy about that camera. Is that just like an old clunky 80s camera? But then later on they show it's like this custom ghost dimension camera. Hey, who made that shit? Did they ever talk about that? Who made that camera?
Well, they try to talk about specs and it having more specs than the average.
No, it had
camera
it had all these diodes to see multiple dimensions, but who created that shit? Where's
They were trying to track the ghost that the girl saw.
Where's cute? Where's
you get my Zeiss, guys? Okay, that's getting lost.
I like it.
I like the Carl Zeiss Geist lens joke.
I don't have it.
Zeiss guide. Sorry. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's a great catalyst. Is there some debate?
Well, I thought besides the constant rationalization of, is something wrong or not, the debate is that there are a few moments when things are normal after that. Wife wants to have sex with the guy, things are going to go great, we don't have to worry about the camera, everything's going fine.
I think there's debate. There's debate about the tapes. What's on these? There's debate about the camera itself. What is it made
even
of?
Before that, what's the point at which we totally go for the priest to answer it? Because I feel like the debate lands where we say no, we're getting the priest. But what was it? The moment when they were like, yeah, let's bring the priest.
That's a long time later, Don. That's at the midpoint, I think. Debate. This is debate about. This is a little bit of debate before we break into the second act, before the journey begins, right? What did John? Just to give us a bookend, what is the break into two on your list?
I have set up the cameras to watch at night. Something is definitely going wrong. And we're gonna, our characters are gonna hunt it down, be an active part of the solution.
So is that after Leela starts?
Is that upstairs or downstairs?
I think it's downstairs.
I think it's downstairs.
Is that after Leela starts talking to Toby? I think Leela starts acting weird, so you could also consider that part of the debate. If we go with your break into two.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't have any problem with that.
Also, debate.
I've got all these notes from a dark theater. Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
wait. The yoga chick, wasn't she the first one that had the incident though outside when they were babysitting before anything was on anyone's radar? She had the incident outside with Toby. That was before the parents got wind of it. She had an incident where the seesaw went up and down. She saw something, and the rosary.
Yeah, that's all fun and games. I think that's after they set up the camera the first time. Maybe it's just turning on the camera is the break into two. Maybe just deciding
Whoa.
to watch through the camera and to read and to watch the tapes. That, to me, both of those are we're beginning our mission, our journey here.
That's true. It's really early, but you're right. I mean, that is like a portal into this new world. Our heroes explore a new world, right?
The catalyst is really early. In horror movies, it should be. There's an 88-minute movie. But then that's when Ryan, the dad, who's arguably our protagonist in this film, starts exploring, right? The history eventually comes later. Fun and games, the first incident that Skylar has, did they find a cross in the backyard? Is that what happened?
Yes, they found a rosary.
Okay. Yeah, that's where it starts going Catholic. You're like, okay. You know, like the girl buried it or something, right? Or, besides the fact that Toby was out there.
Right, so Leela buried her rosary. Is that getting rid of her rosary? Is that what she was doing with it?
Yeah, exactly.
I think the rosary was something not even related to this story. I feel like it was connected to possibly another. I wouldn't even be surprised if in the next one you see the Latino boys drop that rosary there.
No, but remember when eventually in the second half, the bad guys close in when the priest finally shows up, Father Todd shows up. He does some holy water on the bear and then holy water on Leela.
On her, yeah.
Oh yeah.
If you're gonna talk about Christian signs like the rosary protecting her, and then or the holy water protecting her, maybe she got rid of it. Like Toby was telling her, get rid of the rosary. I'm not down with that.
Yeah. I got the rosary moment as 26 minutes in, so puts us in good fun and games area there.
Yeah. What else we got for fun and games?
Yeah, what else do I got? I think the burn sequence is a little bit.
There's a lot though.
Yeah, well, the sense of discovery with the camera. I mean, we're seeing several things happen with that camera where as they begin to stake it out, and also looking at the old footage. He's like, I got my dad's old porno collection here. I was like, really? Are we going that way? But it's not. He's making a joke, and it's the woman with the shoulders that he likes, and then we start to see the young girls too. So that exploration, of looking at old tapes.
But you know what? Honestly, Fun and Games is not fun and games with this kind of movie, in my opinion. Fun and Games is more about the fun and games that the bad guy or the demon plays on the family. And I don't know about you guys. Well, I'm a mom, and I have a little girl. So I had a freak out moment, which I'm pretty sure was Fun and Games, whereas the little girl sleepwalked with the Bible and was about to set the whole house on fire. There was also a play with the star on top of the tree or whatever that kept getting thrown and flung. There was a lot of rebellion to the Bible and to Christmas.
Definitely.
It's like sadistic fun and games.
I kept thinking,
I'm so
happy I don't have a fireplace.
No, but it's direct antagonism from Toby, who's our main antagonist, who although unseen.
Completely. So Fun and Games is each time the mother or the brother or the dad got caught Toby. I said Kobe cheese. Toby. Before it.
Kobe burger. Ryan gets turned into a Kobe burger later on.
The yoga friend was kind of useless. I'm trying to think of if she had any part in Fun and Games other than the whole rosary seesaw. I think that was her one moment before she basically bought it.
She was good for exposition.
Is there anything I'm missing?
Later on, she does some research on the demons and stuff. She seemed to have everyone in this movie seems to have an interest in the occult. It's funny. For expositional purposes.
Throw in here and there.
Yeah. Do we have a B story, John? What do you got?
Do we have a B story? I think. Mm-hmm. If the A story, and you said arguably our protagonist was the father, Ryan, trying to discover this evil force in the house, then the B story is maybe Layla's relationship with Toby.
I totally disagree, though. I feel like the A story is the prophecy. considering it pulls throughout the whole franchise. And then we could reach for a B with the family that's in the present narrative. But the prophecy, the overall arcing prophecy, has got to be the A story.
What I would say is, if you think about the B story, the purpose of the B story, it's to cross with the A and to surprise us out of nowhere, to raise the stakes for the A. To me, what jumped out at me as the A story is discovering what's happening to Leela, discovering what's on the tapes, discovering what's on the camera. All that stuff is, yeah.
Really?
But the B story, I think, is the backstory, what's on the tapes. I think maybe the tapes were revealing the backstory of the little girls, Katie, Toby, and I believe I'll say that the Toby relationship with Leela itself could be a B story, because that's where they combine eventually. They combine eventually to become one. So
Right. Yes. Somewhere about where the past talks to the
Agreed.
future. They come together. Where the girls on the tape talk
man.
to Leela.
No, that's beautifully
So
done. It's
good.
because it's foreshadowing of the A and the B crossing. The A and the B actually crossed there. Sneeze. God bless you.
Yeah.
That,
You're like, oh
that
man,
kind
that
of
got
shut
me.
that and the Bible and the fireplace shut me down. Those two moments, I was like, oh.
And that's what the found footage is good for, because the camera's moving around, it's happening in the background, it's so subtle. One character's like, "Hey, wait, did you see that?" And we're moving on, and you're like, "No, I saw that."
Yeah.
That was so good. And I like the fact they did exactly what we would have done, or we beg as an audience member to do. Rewind that shit. What? That was that exact moment. Because sometimes,
Yeah, it was perfect. Perfect re-exposition. We can
great.
get that again. Another shock out of that by watching it again. And I jotted down that was 48 minutes. That moment where the girl on the tape talks to Leela.
Really?
So maybe that's coming right at the end of Fun and Games and hitting
Yes.
the midpoint.
What's
Where
our
everything
midpoint?
changes.
What changes?
Well, at this point, we resolved that the little girl has accepted Toby as a friend and is now distancing herself from her family. Because she got at a certain point, she becomes much colder to her mother, to her father, and secretive.
I think,
And she's taking her journey with
Let me
Kobe.
take
here.
a-
Yeah.
Toby.
Like
Stop saying Kobe. I'm
in
sorry.
Toby beef.
But in action movies, they have that midpoint where like the hero sleeps with the heroine. Well, now in a horror movie, we have the little girl and the demon. They are joined.
Oh.
No, that's called
Wow.
Sex at 60, right? It's right after the midpoint. Yeah. No, I mean, I think the midpoint here is that the revelation of the tapes, that the tapes are connected. And then after that, they're looking at the drawings that Leela did, and Leela, that's the part where she goes quiet. She starts to go quiet, and let's see.
And super standoffish. It's not even just because we've had in this series, we've had a lot of kids that that get shy and befriend Toby, but I felt like this is the first time where she was downright like cold and mean and kind of pushing her family off, not just being friendly to him, but like taking a stance against them.
Yeah, I think Leela turning and them discovering the true backstory that's on the tapes. And then, actually, this is something that happens. This is when they start asking Leela about her friend. They start talking.
Right.
So
Agreed.
it's
Totally.
you could argue that Toby maybe and Leela had this conversation. There's a moment where Leela is walking around the house at night and she goes to the fireplace.
Yep.
So that arguably is, where Toby and Leela like become besties, and shit starts to go downhill from there. Now,
Yep.
Is that the first point when the hole in the wall is
no,
exposed?
not yet. That's all bad guys close in.
Yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
I feel like this is the only genre that can have such a fucking slow burn.
It is a really,
and not even just
I mentioned
horror.
This.
I'm just talking
I mentioned this earlier that the first.
God, you couldn't get away with this in a
first,
lot of horror.
The first
like
half
this...
is a really slow burn. That's what was my one down. For horror, I expect things to be happening. If not, the audience aware of it. If the audience is not aware of it, at least, if the characters are not aware of it, that's fine. But at least let the audience be aware of it. Show us some shit happen. So.
For screenwriters, you have to have something on the first page. Can you imagine, like, let's say this whole franchise never existed, and then you gave Paranormal 1, where there's a bunch of bullshit talking and cameras on the first 20 pages. Nothing really gets going. There's no jump off.
But that's why Paranormal 1 was special, because it was indie, it was visually different. You know, the fun in games is a door opens creakily while they're sleeping. There's some rocking. There's some sounds in the background. Okay, not until 3/4 into the movie do we see a sheet being pulled off of them while they're asleep. Then we get Katie pulled out of the bed. Then we get some shit. Then we get a final fight going down. I mean, again, it all happens in the last 7 minutes. But back to Ghost Dimension. The midpoint, I'm reviewing it right now. Leela gets up and out of bed right in the middle of the movie and goes downstairs. And I think it's she's in the tent and she leaves it, and it's that's where the conversation with Toby begins. Then the guys are watching more of the tapes, and they see the tapes are referring to Leela's room and the stuff that they're doing around the house. So this is Bad Guys Close In, right, John? What else do you have?
Bad Guys Close In. Have scribbles on the wall over her bed, which really hard to leave there in my mind.
Doorway.
Yeah, exactly. Mention of the Coven. And then around 61 minutes, okay, so you also have Father Alessio turns up, 51 minutes, video of girl with a bloody shirt. Things are getting serious. The ghost attack happens to Uncle Mike at 61 minutes, and they're hiding in the kitchen.
All right, well, Father Todd who shows up? Yeah, the father shows up. Now this is good Bad Guys Close In, because he comes and he's saying some shit is going down. He even says something that this is not a possession. We don't need an exorcism. We need an extermination. I love that.
Right.
And he goes around a room and he's looking at stuff. I'm always I gotta tell you, and this plays on. I'm always creeped out by old, weird looking priests talking to little girls. It's another dimension of creepy that adds to this whole thing. Even though he's a good guy, in this movie, it's just creepy. And then he blesses the bear with the holy water, and he blesses her with the holy water, and then he leaves. He's like, I gotta go talk to some people.
Just out of there. Oh, yeah, so good.
But see, that's the polar opposite of the first one. Do you remember the first priest on Paranormal 1? The first priest comes in, he sees all kinds of problems with the house, and he pieces out. He doesn't come back.
I think he does come back at the end.
He comes back at the end, but he doesn't
he's not involved in the third act. Father Todd in Ghost Dimension, he's trying to kick some butt, and he gets his ass kicked in the third act.
He must have not seen The Exorcist. Yeah, for sure.
Clearly did not see The Exorcist. Then
go ahead.
More Bad Guys Close In is they're getting a lot of research about the house and the murders that had happened there previously.
Right.
They want to talk to their daughter. Daughter's talking less and less. This is where we get to
She
start.
plays a recorder. Yeah.
And mom comes and sleeps in her room. I think that's the point where they're like, we have to take hold of this before. You remember when mom sleeps at the foot of her bed?
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like because everything happens so quick at the end, that might be the beginning of 3. Because then everything kind of, I don't know, wildfires. I think it's weird.
Oh, wow.
Everything happens Give me what's the timestamp on when the first death of the group happens?
It's third act.
It's like bang, bang, bang. It happens really quick, right?
I'm trying to figure out. We got a lot of bad guys close in. What did you have down, John, for All Is Lost?
I had, okay, so the whiff of death, I think, was Hunter was killed, which is right in there with All Is Lost.
Yes, that's just right. They find that.
Wait, who's killed?
Hunter, who's the boy.
Hunter.
Who is mentioned on the tape, is missing, and he was missing, right? And yeah, that it's the ghost of Hunter is brought back. They find these old missing posters of Hunter, which Kristina has told us is
no, but that's weird because of the 1 and 2. I'm a little confused about. Is Hunter really missing, or is he the kindred spirit that is with Layla to bring Toby back? Because he was only missing to people that not know the story, but everyone that's seen this series knows that Katie up and took him away.
Kristina, you're looking at the macro. We're talking about the micro for this movie. The good, the only whiff of death happening 3/4 through is this mentioning of the dead boy, which is kind of a classic. Then,
right, which okay, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna we get. I mean, Dark Knight of the Soul.
I would say 63 minutes. Leela is telling mommy to go away. I'm fine, mommy. Yeah. So. As far as the family breakdown goes, Leela, now wants nothing to do with mommy.
And now that for me.
No, I feel okay. Does anyone call Dark Knight of the Soul when the priest dies and all shit starts to go?
No, it's third act, baby. It's like the last 7 minutes.
Though.
No, because I know it's so long. It's so long. I really, John, I really think break into 3 is when Leela goes into the tunnel.
The
first time. I mean, it happens at 65 minutes, and the tunnel actually opens up, and she goes in it. It's total like it's total like going on the journey thing, and then everybody starts looking for her because she's missing in the house.
And the pace does really pick up after that. After that, that's when the day goes by in 10 minutes when they're in the house, when Skylar and Uncle Mike in the house. It's over. Like the pace is just running at a full gallop. I had down Leela's back at the house, 73, which is really just about the right or the same area, when she's suddenly back. But
I like the idea of an act break should be like some character like making taking a choice to go on a journey, especially since
making a choice.
Leela is doing the Dark Knight of the Soul where she's telling mommy, leave me alone. It's as if she's become one of our protagonists for a little bit and is making the choice to go on the journey. While she's gone, they start looking at all the drawings and they bring up this one drawing of the demon that has multiple horns and lots of eyes. And I'm like, cool, we get to see the monster. Yeah. But she, the girl comes back. And
wait, can I go back a step? I'm so sorry, but I feel like too. I don't know if we quite said this. A lot of the fun and games happened on that 8-chin camera when we saw like the spirit hover over people or drop down over people, and we got that.
Yes, absolutely. That was fun and games when the camera's like sitting out, and we got to see the mist. We get to see the different like sort of foggy spirit things going on, which we don't get to see again until Act 3. All of the second act, bad guys close in, second half of second act, we don't get to see much demon stuff. It's all implied, which is good found footage stuff. And then in the third act, our priest returns. The girl's not talking to anybody.
Nope.
Everybody's these white people are still in the house.
Right.
Yep. Priest got his Bible out, and he creates.
Did anyone not see the Wayans brothers take on that paranormal whatever, where they pieced out with U-Haul after the first incident?
somebody makes a pentagram on the ground. Did you?
Yes.
What was that about? Is that supposed to protect her?
Yeah. And
Oh, okay. I didn't get because I totally had Rosemary's Baby. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Was that the
circle
priest's
thing?
idea? This is all third act, by the way. I think this is all like we're going to battle with some demon. It's really great image because somebody's drawn a pentagram next to a Christmas tree. It's like a really great
Skylar
image.
might have been doing
That's
it.
horrible. You're right.
And they're getting like holy water in the bathtub and sheets and salt, you know, and they're gonna burn them. I was like, okay.
If you could just stand next to those sacrificial lambs, I'm gonna help you. What the hell? I just realized that's so horrible.
And the little girl's eyes turn black. Now we got a scary little girl. And then, in a cinematography decision I don't appreciate, they go to night vision on the found footage camera.
Stop it. I like night vision. Damn it.
I think it's cheating. I don't think it's scary. I think it's just like...
Cloverfield, fuck you.
Yeah, it's very disorienting. And then the idea of the pentagram was to raise the demon. Remember they always, and this is something I learned, they said it in this movie twice, is that, remember in the first movie they said don't use the Ouija board because if you talk to the demon, it invites him in. So I guess the pentagram was to invite the demon into the right place, and they put a sheet over him, right?
They put a sheet over themselves.
They put
it.
They put a sheet to capture the demon because everyone knows that sheets can stop demons.
Capture demons.
Right? That if you have 1,000 thread count, it will keep the demon in. You know? Like, I don't know whose idea the sheet was.
I use Downy on my demon sheets. I don't know about you.
Well,
don't tell us about what goes on in that bedroom.
So that's when they would have been like, maybe he didn't know what was going on.
And then from, in
I think I like his death the best. I probably would have wanted to go out like the priest. He just got sucked in.
Right.
2 seconds.
Bye-bye. Priest is gone. Last 7 minutes. Priest is dead. We're in the break into 3. We're in the finale. Priest is dead.
Yoga girl's coughing and bleeding her face.
Our dad gets an octopus like a clawed octopus tentacle through the chest.
How did Mike go again?
No, Mike goes real quickly when Skylar decides, something invades Skylar and she starts coughing and she coughs up blood and it's acidic blood onto him. So Mr. Mustache dies and then Skylar,
homage to
a
aliens.
little alien, and then Skylar we assume dies because you can't be coughing up acid blood unless you're unless H.R. Giger made you. Then she's dead. Everybody's dead except the mom and Leela, and the little girl still has the black eyes, and they follow her up through the portal back.
No, I'm stopping there. They copped out. That's a writer's room that said, let's pull on quick death tropes.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was a lot of quick
just happened
death.
too quick.
It happened in like 7 minutes. But
the whole idea of refrigerator logic. If you sit with it too long, maybe you're like, really? So where did this idea of acid blood come from? So it's kind of like they're just, it's like they're paddling like a duck underneath. But as we're on it, we're on this ride. I mean, you're right though.
And we did start off by saying, one of the things Paranormal Activity knows how to do is drop the mic at the finale, right? So.
True, so they had to go full
They
throttle
certainly
with
did
it.
in this case, right? And it's and maybe this is just brilliant marketing by Blum, but a lot of people all they remember is the ending to a movie.
Oh wait,
and people,
I directed that. I wrote that and directed it, and you know what? It ended straight at the hand through Daddy's chest, black. You don't know what happened to the mother or the daughter. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's where I need.
No, but then we get to.
It wasn't a drop the mic because we got Toby. I felt like it was just a cop out giving us a.
But they did a bunch of murders, and then Leela and Mom go through the portal, right? A la
Right.
Too much. And the mom's journey to save her child, it's too much because you didn't develop it well.
No, because it happens over the course
True.
of 2 minutes. You don't see the mom saying, that the whole thing from Poltergeist was, we're gonna go get.
Joe Beth Williams
We're gonna
told
go get Carol Ann from Purgatory, and they have to get the creepy lady to help them, and they've got.
Okay, wait.
Right.
This is, you just said it right there. Do you remember the moment, and this is total screenwriters, this is not horror lingo. Do you remember the moment when Joe Beth Williams is having like a shot of whiskey or something with one of the paranormal chicks, and they kind of discuss how it's kind of pretty fucking crazy that I'm about to do this whole ghost thing down a portal to save my child. It was a very human moment. And I think that's what this is missing. Those clips where you stop being your movie and you're straight human scene dialogue. It doesn't have to be anything spectacular.
All of us
showing
are sitting here thinking these people are really stupid. The choices they're making are stupid. We're not connected to any of them. They're relying on the stock connection between a mother and a daughter for us to be emotionally attached to this last moment.
Agreed.
And
Yep.
I don't remember this
Right.
feeling that this mother and daughter, their relationship, I knew it at all,
It wasn't sweet. It wasn't special.
I mean, the actor.
It seemed like Emily got some of the least development of anyone.
Yeah,
Emily, the mom, she.
the mother who ends up being the final, protagonist after the dad's dead. So, but we do get, a very interesting, scary ass. When they go through the portal to the 1980s, is that where they are?
No, they went back to the Coven house from 3, where all the witches are with the young Katie and the young Christy.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's in the 80s.
Yes, it's so
It's in the
messed
80s.
up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's beautiful.
that disco era.
Right,
You're
they're
right.
going
you're right,
back
you're right,
to
you're
that
right.
the Coven house with girls, but now Toby
and everything, all the sheets on
Toby
everything.
now has a
yes.
body. Can someone tell me whose body he has?
Oh, stay tuned for Paranormal 800.
Is it one of the guys' bodies? Is it
know.
Hunter grown up?
Yeah, I was just gonna say Hunter. I was just gonna say that's the only male character. We have Hunter. We have Micah. If they tie it into Micah.
Micah looked like he was all
I don't
broken
know.
up. Like
Hunter got lost in the 80s.
This,
He could be that
this
old.
is what we should do, David. You should pull all your horror cats together. We should
You
write
are
a
my horror
script
cats.
on the next step of this.
I mean-
no,
Right.
you have a plot.
I have some other horror cats, but-
we should sit up and do a 48-hour writing series to write the next Paranormal. WGA that shit
and just
send
send it to
him.
him. We have some good ideas. What I would say is, first of all,
True.
I've been reading this is the last Paranormal movie. Is that true? It says it on the Wikipedia.
And Glenn is
That's what
dead
they say.
on The Walking
Exactly.
Dead.
Right.
Who knows?
Right. Exactly. As if.
So my question is this: is it because in the big picture, meta scale, it's all been about this demon trying to find its place in the world, and now it has.
The
so
prophecy.
in a way,
Yeah, but what about marching out of hell and dominating the planet Earth? Let's see some epic.
God's honest truth. Once a ghost becomes real, they're not.
You're right, and it's no long. It's no.
Once it
It's no
becomes
longer
flesh.
a contained thriller monster in a house anymore. But
right?
The only way this could be interesting is again if it'd have to tie into something else, and someone would have to come through another dimension of the story to fight it. But would we really care?
But hold on, if Toby is a man in a man's body with a little witch coven back in the 80s, fast forward to present day, he could be an older guy. He could be an
Very
older
Rosemary
guy
Baby.
now. Could he be any of the people we've met?
See, but the only way this works is if he is human. Let's say Devil's Advocate Al Pacino. He is in human form, but his coven of bitches, are so badass that the people that come to challenge him don't even get to him because of his what do you call that lineup that football players
The
have? before you
defensive
reach the
line.
thrower?
Cute.
Right, he's got the
Yes.
black-eyed coven bitches protecting him. I would say, I mean, it's very interesting. I definitely think there's a lot to cover here in another sequel if they wanted to go to 7. Right now, box office
Take it to a black neighborhood. We'd run. We'd run.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
such a trope. It's such a trope. You and the
I don't know
way
if that's a sequel
It was
or
a
not.
10-minute
You and the
movie.
way
Problem solved, right?
We all left.
so funny.
We're not staying.
Guys, we have 5 minutes left. Why don't we sum up our now that we've talked it through, things we like about the movie, things we didn't like about the movie.
John.
Okay, I think I can start. And I'll start with what I don't like, so I can end on the really positive stuff. I thought there were some, conceits that probably have been going on and on. Allowing the girl to sleep alone. It gave us a beautiful picture of, the perfect life being invaded by a ghost, but it wasn't that plausible. Scrawling on her wall, I think we should have known something was coming to that. And some of the end, like the hand coming through Ryan, the dad, was a little jumping of the shark, just implausibilities, which they really did a great job of controlling otherwise.
Especially when they had the sheet on the demon. The sheet's supposed to protect you.
Yeah, it totally didn't work.
Stop. Downy Fresh sheets protect you from demons and
just
bed
go to
bugs.
Bed Bath and get a sheet. You're good.
Right, exactly.
That's why in the first paranormal. That's why in the first paranormal they have to pull the sheets off the couple before they attack them.
I'm through with you, David. I'm through with you.
John, please continue.
And what I really liked was, it was complex but not complicated. Our family was, too simple, probably not fleshed out. They were good fun, and in a way, this world was just moving behind them and around them. And that really made it exciting for me. I saw things happening that they didn't. And it really created a pace that, yes, while some of the found footage clips were a little bit slow, the background talking about covens and all these, other tie-ins with the other movies really felt like it was a rich world that transported me and really brought me to a place where at the end, you could really go for it, and I was believing that in this world there was a demonic force, and it was an exciting ride that kept me, not to be cliched, it kept me on the edge of my seat. I really enjoyed it, and it was fun too. The family, in their constant rationalization, not owning it up, kept the attitude upbeat, even as it seemed their journey was finally to accept the fact that they were the chosen victims of the movie.
Awesome.
So that is horrible, and I liked it. Yeah, I thought it really satisfied that need for judgment and punishment, and the inkling feeling that everything's gone wrong is right. Is right.
Kristina, I'll go first, so you can anchor our horror Halloween series. I liked it. I think I liked Paranormal Activity, the Ghost Dimension, because I think one of the things that Blum and all the writers and directors on this franchise has done right is they made sure each film was different, and they made sure each film fulfilled the promise of the premise, which was to scare us, to drop the mic in each end, surprise us, to slowly release the information about the mythology a little bit at a time in every movie. I love that there's throwbacks to the previous movies, and they did a great thing in this movie, which is they opened with footage from the earlier film where they said, another little girl is going to, a third girl is going to come and she's going to be very important. And you're like, that's like a throwaway line. You're like, this guy's just he's nuts. This guy's nuts. And then as they're watching the tapes and they realize the tapes are talking about them now, and you see sort of a time travel scenario going on here, and it finally gets it's foretelling it telegraphed what is supposed to happen in the end, but still you're surprised when Leela goes through and becomes the third witch in the coven, and everybody's dead, and it's exactly what they said was going to happen in the opening, and you're like, this is amazing, and I bought it the whole way through because they had enough red herrings. And they had us on the edge of our seats with the conflict at hand, with dealing with his demon in the house. You know, I wish I connected a little bit more to the mother and the father and Leela. I wish I knew Leela more, actually. Leela, because she goes quiet real quick. We're forced to rely on, you know, the fact that she's a girl and she's innocent, so we have to care about her, and that the mother cares about her daughter. The biggest relationship we get to know about is sort of Ryan and the mustache dude, him and his brother, like chatting, you know, and also Skylar. There's kind of like a little budding romance because the dude who just got dumped kind of and the hot chick get to hang out together. There's like some romantic tension there. But I loved what they did in this version, this episode of the franchise, by giving us the a little bit more visuals of the demons and of the spirits. They give us the mechanism of that camera that can see the ghost dimension. And then in the end we're in the night vision, and we get to see it all. We get to see all that bad shit up front. So I was satisfied.
I agree with you on that, and I think I'm pretty much going to piggyback you and kind of open up one last thought to add on to that. I liked the movie. I liked it a lot. As a writer, it's inspiring because it's very hard to have a franchise where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 don't seem like a repeat. And with each of these, it was something different that was smart enough to tie into, again, like I said, or foreshadow something they were going to do or had intentions to do. And I literally mirror what both of you guys say. My only add-on to this and my takeaway or to share is that we spoke about Crimson Peak.
Yes, we did.
A bit back.
Yeah. That's the previous podcast.
And the difference between this is writers take away that this was better than Crimson Peak. I love you. I've conceded to a lot of points on that. But what I'm going to say about
such different films. Come on, but this
no,
was.
they're not.
If you want to keep it simple, I'd say this was more satisfying.
No, I'm going to tell you why. And when we were with Crimson Peak, I had in my heart Douglas Fairbanks Jr. with the movie Ghost Story. And this is my thing. Paranormal, this whole series, including especially this one, retrained a lot of people how to like a ghost story, how to wait for the bumps in the night. We've become so trained to want quick, fast gratification in our cinema that it is very hard for people to wait for a slow burn. This franchise has retaught a lot of ADD people how to wait for the slow burn and appreciate it.
I think that is a great. I think that is the best tribute to Paranormal Activity I've heard so far. Is that yes, they brought back the bump in the night. That is part of the convention of these films.
Agreed.
Awesome. Let's drop the mic.
Drop the mic. Or pull someone into plasma.
Claw tentacle through the chest from Kristina.
Through the chest.
Guys.
That's right.
Thank you, John. Thank you for being Kristina for being on. This is the script.
An honor. Thank you so much. Yeah.
The script is produced by Jordan Rosengarten and David Negrin. You can email us, fan mail us, hate mail us, comments, questions, or proclamations. Demonic prayers and blessings to scriptfeed@gmail.com. Join our Facebook page by searching for NYC Screenwriters Collective. You can follow us on Twitter @ScriptFeed. If you live in New York City, please come to one of our writing workshops, our TV writing, or our feature film writing workshops. Check us out on meetup.com under NYC Screenwriters Collective. And if you like the script, please support us over at patreon.com/thescript.